sections 212 talks about the executive powers of both the states and the federal. And so that's why what you have now, it's like, you know, at best you can describe it as, you know, powers between the federal and the state government. Even if you look at the legislative lists of the federal government and the state government, in Nigeria, the federal government can do everything. All the items on the legislative list, 68 are exclusive to the federal government. The federal government have power to exclusively legislate on those items mentioned in number 1 to 68. And then you now have 30 dedicated to both the state and the local government. And even where the local government, the state and the federal government, I mean, even where the state and the federal government have concurrent powers to legislate on matters, the federal government's legislation still supersedes that of the state government.
You know, the fear here, sorry to cut you here, the fear here is that we're almost seeing a semblance of what happened during the era of General Aguirre, where we had a unitary system of government. Because if you look at what you just highlighted from the Constitution, it will seem as if, well, the Constitution, apart from that section 7, it was almost silent as to how we should operate the local government.
That's where I'm narrowing it down to. I was explaining to show what we have today. I wanted to juxtapose that with what we had in the First Republic that the Leonard Sick Clark was talking about. If you remember then, you hear of Ibadan Native Authorities, the Lagos City Council. These were local governments. These were local governments. And so you had Ibadan Native Authority policing. You had the Lagos City Council policing. These were local government police. And even in America, if you look, in America they have, in France, they have 4 tiers of government. In America, in some, depending on the state, you either have 3 or 4 tiers of government because you have the counties, you have the municipals, you have the states. And even at the municipal level, where local governance started from, you know, the essence, naturally, generally was for the people to come together, elect people that would decide the affairs of, you know, taking care of the poor, management of sewages, management of collective businesses, and the management of communal policing. And so if all crimes is local, and then you now decide to protect crime from a federal angle, there's no way you're going to fight crime. And that's why consistently, I had said this fight against corruption, if you permit me to go there, that is a window dressing for the federal government, because you cannot look at EFCC alone and say you want to fight corruption in the entire country. When you have a police that is statutorily responsible for fighting day-to-day crime, and the police is what it is today, the government does not care about the police. And this is at the same people, when they were in opposition, they mouthed state policing, local government policing, restructuring, fiscal federalism, and one would have expected that would be the first step that the government would take to ensure that government and governance trickles down to the people at the grassroots, at the lowest level. But nobody is discussing local government administration. Even some of the functions that you read out, you know, on your screen just now, for the local government, have been taken over by most of the states. That's why the local government now have been reduced to a salary paying agency.
I think that was the whole essence why my producers had to create that slide, so that you can see some of those things that you see on the federal side that should have been what the local government...
These are the functions that are statutorily guaranteed by the first schedule of the Constitution. And if you look at them, sewage, waste collection, take Lagos State, for example, waste collection has been taken over by the state government. Public transits have been taken over by the states. Even the land use and the land use planning is taken over by the states and collapse.
Isn't it amazing? Isn't it amazing? Look at the fire issue, because now, while we're doing this...
So I don't go there.
No, we should. While we're doing this, we had our research team look at the councils in the country, and so far,
there is no local
government with a firefighting truck.
There is no local government that has a firefighting truck, except the one donated by the states. Not donated, except the one, you know, assigned by the states to man a local government. And so you hardly hear chauffeur local government firefighters. No. And so these are functions that are guaranteed.
Excuse me, for instance, in the event that you have wildfire, for instance, maybe in the community somewhere, in any community in the thick of the bush, where you say you have wildfire, who fights it?
You have to have recourse to the federal firefighters. In some cases, even the state firefighters are not are ill-equipped, not to talk of having a federal firefighter. And you know, that's why you see governance is so far from the people at the bottom. And that's why you see there is so much concentration of powers at the center. That's why everybody wants to kill to get to the center. That's why everybody wants to be, you know, in Abuja. And, you know, so we even the little that we have at the local level, because it is not enough, nobody's looking at how it is dispensed. Nobody is looking at, the little functions given to those at the local level, how is it utilized? And that's why also, because the section guarantees, gives power to the State House of Assembly to legislate for financing and administration of the local government, what they do, by virtue of that section, they enact a law. As soon as a new governor is voted into office, he enacts a law, or he latches on the existing law to sack the existing local government structure. And thank God for the recent Supreme Court judgment in that of Ekiti, that the state government do not have powers, irrespective of the provisions of the Ekiti State Local Government Administration and Chieftaincy Matters Law, that the state government, the governor does not have powers to sack a government that is democratically elected. I think that also would send a signal to all the other governors. But then also, you find out that the local government administration, the tenure of local government administration in Nigeria is neither here nor there. Because why that of the states and the federal houses are spelled out in the Constitution, for that of the local government, the Constitution is silent. And so you find in some cases it is 3 years, in some cases it is 4 years.
Absolutely.
You know?
Mr. Oshoma, we'll come back and highlight some of these and also look at some of those issues because you've just opened the vista now, talking about what we saw during the parliamentary system, which seemed to have worked then, and you'd also talked about the counties and
yes,
the form of government we practiced at that point in time. And now let's get to see some kind of overlap or a hijack of some of these responsibilities of the council by the government at the center and even the state. So when we come back, we'll look at more of these issues and question how best this can be, addressed by the National Assembly.
No problem.
That'll be when we return.